Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson, Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Next item will be the statement by the Board Vice President.
As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in other silent activity.
Okay, next item will be the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Jerry Denton.
If you will stand, please. Salute. Pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Denton. Next item will be the adoption of the agenda. Any discussion?
Move the formal adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Next item, number 5, approve the meeting minutes from October the 9th. Discussion?
Move the minutes of October 9th, 2017.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes. Next item, Summer and Awards, Mr. Dale.
Please. And Ms. Ellis. Dr. Dunlop, President Allen, members of the board, we are here tonight to introduce to you and recognize the 2017-18 State Championship 1-Act team and their amazing teacher, Ms. Jenna Ellis.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for having us this evening. Yes, I almost can't speak because I'm so proud just walking up here and look at them. Aren't they beautiful? And they're so talented and smart, and they represent the fine arts in this district so well. And state championship or not, they are always top-notch. They're in the upper echelon grade-wise in this school, and they are fantastic human beings. They're good. When I go to competitions with these guys, I come home proud of awards and so trophies, yes, but mostly because my students represent Broken Arrow, they represent me, and they represent Tiger Theater with extreme class. And so I'm so proud of them. I just love them. And I'm here to talk about Tiger Theater and the 1-Act team. This is a good portion of the 1-Act team. Here with me this evening, both cast and crew members. And I want to say that it had been 21 years since Broken Arrow went to compete at the 1-Act competitions, and 4 years ago we came home after trying the first time. We placed at regionals and went on to state, and was here 4 years ago talking about the fact that we came home with a state championship for outstanding tech and crew. And so I'm really proud to say that we have come home with the #1 spot for 1-Act play this year and our state champions for 1-Act. We were runners-up, actually, for outstanding tech. and crew at state this year, and that was after placing at regionals and placing first at a whole nother invitational competition. So the Yellow Boat and this one-act team has just swept the competition this year, and so I'm really proud and excited to present them to you this evening. I also would like to say that this team is part of a Tiger Theater drama department that rolled into town with Beauty and the Beast last year and broke all kinds of attendance and box office records. And just so you know, in April, mark your calendars, we're back with Mary Poppins, and we're going to do it again. And now we have this great, did we bring the trophy or do we leave it in the lobby? And we've got a great trophy to show you this evening and a banner. It's somewhere around here. Drama kids, I don't know. Thank you, Ben. While Ben goes to, brought that to show it off and left it in the lobby. Great. While he's doing that, he can be at the end there. We're going to start on this end, and I would like these guys to introduce themselves to you and tell you what part they played in the one act this year.
Hello, my name is Logan Weaverdink, and I played the role of David Starr, the father of Benjamin in the Yellow Boat.
You guys don't have to come up here, just project.
Okay.
My name is Phoenix Stores, and I was a stage manager for the Yellow Boat.
My name is Ellis Isom, and I was a stage crew for the Yellow Boat.
My name is Daniel Stout, and I was a stage hand for the Yellow Boat.
My name is Jacqueline Almeida, and I play Source number 1. My name is Taylor Smith, and I was an assistant stage manager. My name is Nancy Lapham, and I played Doctor number 5 and Kid number 5. Congratulations. My name is Drew Denny, and I played Benjamin's mother. My name is Desiree Smith, and I played Doctor number 3, Kid number 3, and Killer number 3.
Congratulations.
My name is Madison Mars, and I was the stage manager. My name is Alexa Edison, and I was chorus member number 2.
Congratulations.
My name is Aubrey Wilson, and I was stage crew.
Congratulations to you.
And I was chorus number 5.
Congratulations.
My name is Annie Pruitt, and I was stage crew.
My name is Jacob Pierre, and I was stage crew. My name is Warren Wilkerson. I was doctor number 1 and kid number 1.
My name is Brianna McGee. I played Eddie's mother and chorus number 6. My name is Melanie Ambrose, and I played doctor number 4 and kid number 4.
My name is Trevor Phillips, and I played chorus number 4.
My name is Benjamin Lee, and I played Benjamin Zoll.
I'm Caitlin Stewart, and I'm the co-assistant to the director. I'm Kendall Pierce, and I was Benjamin's teacher and chorus number 3. I'm Sophia Christ, and I played Joy. My name is Cameron Blockman, and I played doctor number 2 and chorus number 2. I'm David
All right, if we could just give them a big round of applause. Also, I want to mention before we leave that along the way, several of these students gathered up All-Star Actor Awards. And these awards are the judges not only put the shows in placement and rank them, but they rank all of the students in the entire competition, and they pick a handful. At state this year, they only selected 9. There were 9 shows competing from all over the state, and they only picked 9 all-star actors, so of course that's on average 1 per show, but Broken Arrow came home with 2. And these 2 today were delivered scholarship opportunities to a state university after having been selected to all-state actor. So 2 Broken Arrow students were 2 of only 9 in the whole entire state, and actually they were ranked 2nd and 3rd in the entire state. If you would step forward, Ben Lee and Drew Denny, there are your all-state actors. And that is all the time I will take from you this evening. So I don't know if we want to bunch up to get a...
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's bunch it up, guys. Thank you again for having us this evening.
Miss Ellis. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for
Awesome.
your leadership. Starts at the top. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We expect to see you all here again next year.
And quickly, as you're exiting, Ms. Ellis did a great job of congratulating you and talking about all of your accolades, but I would like to recognize her.
Absolutely.
Because without great leadership and great teaching, this would never, ever happen. So thank you so much.
Let them make their way. Okay, next item will be item number 7, Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, this item basically is a summary of our donation information item. We are always grateful to our patrons and our community members that constantly support our schools, especially in these times where our budget is precarious, to say the least. So with that, we would like to recognize the following as donations this month. We received $2,500 from State Farm agent Matt Cantwell to be designated for the Basketball Classic in December. $4,000 from Broken Arrow Electric Supply for the Broken Arrow High School football program. $3,000 from Broken Arrow Electric Supply for the BA Wrestling program. $10,000 from Burns Tours for the purchase of a truck. $5,000 from the Masonic Charity Foundation in honor of our very own State Teacher of the Year, Donna Grottle. And this last one, we probably need to mention specifically. I think it was last weekend, our local Rib Crib sponsored an evening where they provided proceeds. I believe it was 50% of the proceeds for that entire night. Yes, I got a thumbs up. 50% of the proceeds for the entire night of sales toward the family of Mr. Shane Anderson, who we lost tragically. And I am happy to report that the proceeds that went to Shane Anderson's family are now $7,506 in one evening. So thank you. Thank you.
That's wonderful news. Next item, number 8, Ms. Enoff.
Good evening, President Allen, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. It's my pleasure tonight to bring to you a recommendation for hire for our Director of Accounting position. I bring to you tonight Danny Forsyth for recommendation for the position. Danny graduated from Oklahoma State University with a Bachelor's of Science in Secondary Education. We are really excited about Danny because he has a very well-rounded and versatile career. He brings that instructional knowledge that is very valuable to the finance department. We tend to be kind of black and white at times, and Danny definitely brings a different perspective and different view to our finance department. For the past several years, Danny has been with Union Public Schools in their purchasing department and also student data management. He prior to that, he was with Packard Winch in their purchasing area. And like I said, just really has a wealth of knowledge in school business and understands the value of customer service. So we are very excited to recommend Mr. Forsyth for hire.
Awesome. Any discussion?
Make a motion.
He has to be a genius. He graduated OSU. So.
Oh.
And BA. So
There you go.
what could,
Were you going to make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Well, congratulations. And did you bring some family with you?
Yes, my wife Christine and also my Aunt Carla Crowe and Jerry Crowe.
All right.
Very good. Well, welcome aboard. We're thrilled to have you.
All right. Thank you. Next item, item number 10. I'm not sure who's presenting here.
Sagely.
Sagely. I wasn't sure. It had two names on here, so.
Well, thank you. Hello, Dr. Dunlop and President Allen and members of the board. I'm happy to be here tonight to report to you the state of STEM in our district, and also about our upcoming robotics gala that's going to be fun. And this morning I thought I was just going to be talking about robotics, and they asked me to talk about STEM, so I started making a list, and I have 2 pages of things that I could talk about, so I just picked out a few that are the most exciting. First of all, we have been, we brought a proposal before you last year which we proposed to ask the Charles and Lynn Schusterman Family Foundation for money to help us finish out our Project Lead the Way program at Rhodes Elementary and Leisure Park Elementary. And I'm happy to report that they approved after working with them, they approved our funding for that. And so we're able to finish out buying everything we need for the Project Lead the Way programs. And if you haven't been out to visit those yet, when they're doing their projects, they are really amazing STEM projects and cross-curricular lessons that they do, including robotics, which is one of my favorite. But so we've got that going on, and we're even talking to some other schools about possibly starting it up there too. So that's going on. And we also have several schools in our district that are doing family STEM nights, and so that's always exciting to plan and to have the families come together. There's actually one on Thursday night from 6 to 8 at Country Lane Intermediate, if you'd like to come to that. But I know Oakcrest, Country Lane Primary, Aspen Creek, Highland Park, and there's a few other that are having them this semester or next semester, and then some of the middle schools are also going to be having those. So STEM is something that more and more as the years go on, that they're realizing, we can do that not just in science, but in all of the curricular areas. And so everybody's getting on board and coming together, and the families are interested, and it's really a fun time for everyone, but also, of course, learning at the same time. We have an increased interest among teachers and media specialists for maker spaces. And so we've been looking into, what goes into a makerspace and best practices, and also having STEM stations as part of centers in the elementary classrooms. And in December, we are and partnering with Fab Lab, and they are going to, they're kind of helping us write professional development that we're doing for that. So that'll be in December, and they're popping up all over the place, the makers. So when you're out in the classrooms, you'll start seeing those. We've been doing monthly STEM professional developments for teachers, and the numbers are increasing as the word gets out about those, so that's exciting. And then finally, as far as STEM goes, we have, right after Thanksgiving is when we'll start rolling the ball on the Camp Invention, which we'll be offering June 4th through 8th, and this will be our 4th year to do that. So we're excited about that. And that usually sells out by before spring break, really. So it's a summer camp, but it sells out pretty quickly because it's so exciting and the kids love it. But the main reason I'm here tonight is to talk about our exciting robotics gala that's coming up January 20th. So we would like for everyone in this room to mark your calendars and plan to attend. So several years ago, when we came before the board and kind of reported on just getting started with robotics. Here's what we kind of want to do. And in 2014-15, there was not a district robotics program. There was interest, but there wasn't really a program. And so we got a grant for 8 robots, and we started with 8 elementary schools. Now the tech classes did have robotics, but as far as an organized district thing, there wasn't one. And so so we've grown from 8 sites and 49 students to over 200 students involved. All 22 sites have multiple teams, and we even this year had 200 more students apply to be on the teams than we were able to fill spots with. So that's a good problem to have, It's sad that we had to turn away that many, but we're working on it. And so because of that, we want to continue to build the program, and one way to do that is to host this robotics gala that we're going to have. And what the money will go to, the proceeds from this go to helping us purchase the registration for the teams. It gets to be quite expensive, and upgrading some of the computers that they have. We have really, really old computers with some of them, so we want to look at updating that. And transportation is a big one, is getting the kids to the competition. And if you'll remember, last year our high school team, our high school first team, which that's the big leagues of robotics, okay, they won the Midwest regionals, and we were not able to send them to nationals because we didn't have the funds. So this year we're planning for the win, and we're going to have enough, so when they do make it, we'll be able to send them down to Houston and take it all, so that we can bring them up here like the drama department did. As far as the gala is concerned, we have a lot planned. We have the coaches have decided to call it the Robot Runway. So as soon as you come in, it's going to be a robot showcase of all the different teams. The students are going to be there showing off all the different things that we have to do, and it's going to be kind of in the pre-conference area on an actual, long hallway. So there'll be all kinds of robotics things where people can interact, and then at a certain time the students will go on home because they will have had the ball tournament that day, so they're going to be tired. So we'll send the students home and continue with the gala. We'll have silent auction, live auction. We will have dinner, dancing, music. But what I'm most excited about, and one that I brought a little video clip to share with you. It's 2 minutes. But it is our speaker, and his name is Coach Freddie Lajvardi. And for any of you that have seen the movie, it's called Spare Parts. This movie was based on this teacher, and he's one of those, once you learn about him, you just keep following his career. And so George Lopez is the actor that played him in the movie, but everything that you're going to see on this clip are things that really happened to him, because it's so inspiring what he did. And basically he took a unlikely group of high school children in a Title I school, which was mostly Hispanic, and took them to the robotics challenge, and they beat MIT. So they were a high school team competing against university, and it's the story of how they do that. But not only do they do that, now it's inspiring, yes, but he talks to audiences and teachers about the importance of investing in STEM, not only with money but with time, and which is something that we also promote here. So I just wanted to show you this so you'll be as excited as I am.
I'm the new science sub.
Oh, it's a nice suit for a substitute teacher.
Is it too much? Never really taught before.
You've had 8 jobs in the last year.
You can probably guess what my follow-up question is going to be.
Where do I get my stamina?
4 months. If you last that long, it'll be longer than most of my permanent hires.
Are you for the engineering club?
I'd like to enter this.
We would have to build a vehicle that swims underwater. You know this isn't the desert, right?
It says they scout for internships and jobs, but it's getting harder for kids like me to get anywhere near that stuff.
Find a couple more kids. That's on.
Oh! I'm more of a theory guy. I don't really make anything. You're gonna have to help us find someone who can.
Need a better angle. You see the control I got? That's all geometry. I mean, that's all stuff that you can learn in the robotics club.
Every day, in 100 ways, they are told that they are worthless, that they are beyond hope.
You guys got some ground to make up. You want to go up against the best schools in the country. Last year's winner was MIT, but I think we could do better. This is really great work. Listen, your son is an intelligent kid.
We couldn't do this without you, sir. Chances are a lot better if you help.
The more they need me, the more I start to wonder, am I up for this? There you go!
Remember everything you said about not giving up? Well, we're not giving up.
Those are my boys! Think about how far we've come and everything that we've gained that no one can take away from you.
Let's finish strong.
So a lot of that is is all true, and he talks about that. And I've gotten the chance to get to know him over the last few weeks, and I really think everyone was going to enjoy the evening and listening to him. So I hope you'll mark your calendars and attend. Do you have any questions?
Well, Ms. Sagely, I would like to extend a thank you to you. It does take leadership, and leadership is significantly important to programs like this. And we all understand the funding challenges, and we also understand, too, the communicative challenges it takes to be able to put something like this together. And I know that you have people who coordinate and work with you, and certainly I want to extend a thanks to them as well. But more importantly, thank you for all the work that you do for Broken Arrow Public Schools and for the STEM program, and certainly for the students that you serve, and certainly we serve too. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much for saying that.
Thank you. Ms. Tiger, item number 11. This will be short.
Good
I bet
evening.
you don't have 2 pages.
I do not, nor am I inspirational. I wish I had better news to present. I was very hopeful at the last board meeting that we'd be coming tonight and talking about a bill passing that would have given a lot of hope for teachers, and the $3,000 raise that we're also anxiously awaiting, but I do not have that news tonight. We all know that when the cigarette fee was deemed unconstitutional, it left a $500 million deficit to try to fill. A bipartisan package was put together to fill that void and to fund a teacher raise. It did require a supermajority, and that did fail by 5 votes. Many Tulsa area legislators did vote against that package. Owasso, Jinx, Tulsa, Catoosa, and 2 Broken Arrow representatives all voted no on that package. Late this afternoon, and many of you may have received emails that there is a new bill this week that they feel they are very hopeful will pass in a bipartisan fashion this week, but it looks very different. The one that failed, did include the $1.50 per pack on cigarettes and little cigars and gas and diesel tax and things of that nature that we discussed last month. This bill that is coming to the floor this week, it does hold Common Ed harmless. It does affect Career Tech of almost $3 million. What is unclear and what is looking unlikely is a funding source for a raise at this point, unless they provide more information than what they are providing today. What they are proposing is reductions up to 3.5% of most state agencies, $60 million from various agency revolving funds, $53 million from 2017 carryover funds, $23 million more taken out of Oklahoma Rainy Day Fund, $51 million from an increase in gross production tax to the 7% that was in the initial bill that failed. All of those things are moving targets at this particular minute, and teacher raises, as we know today, are not included. But from all the media and the hype from today, feel like they will get the supermajority of the 76 votes in the House.
Ms. Tiger, and Dr. Dunlop, do we know with the budget cuts that would be given to the mental health and the DHS and the other entities, what that impact is student-wise or services within our district would be directly impacted?
Go ahead.
Yes, we have thousands of students actually that would be impacted by the mental health services alone. As we know, we have partnerships with Creoaks, Family and Children's Services, to name a couple of agencies that provide services to our students during the school day every single day. And the bottom line is they're going to have to start cutting. We already received an email from one of our providers saying that they would have to start cutting some of those services. So saying we're going to hold education flat and then saying you're cutting other services, it's talking out of both sides of your mouth. The secondary issue is saying you're going to hold education flat means holding the budget as it is. It does not account for growth or any increase in cost in educating our students. So flat is not flat. And so this just is a continued frustration. And Ms. Tiger, is there any indication that our governor will approve any sort of a proposal that will
in the initial
cuts?
bill that failed? She made it very clear that any sort of just kind of draconian cuts to mental health services or common ed that she would veto. Obviously, you know, that she sent everyone back to the drawing board. This particular package could have 3.5% cuts to mental health services. Whether she considers that acceptable or whether she would veto this bill, even if they did reach the supermajority, she has not made a statement on.
Ms. Tiger, I have a question. The Constitution requires a free and appropriate public education for every child, that it be paid for by the state of Oklahoma. I guess my concern is, and I know that most of us here do know, that there was a lawsuit in the state of Kansas wherein they cut and cut and cut drastically, and so there were entities that went forward and pursued a lawsuit against the state of Kansas, and they did prevail in that lawsuit, as a matter of fact, and the legislature was required to go back and rewrite their budget to address those things that they're required to do.
Right.
So I only say this not because you have answers to the question, but it certainly would be appropriate if you do hear information associated to that as we proceed with this year in understanding the cuts more fully and we move forward into next year, which is supposed to be even worse, what our leaders in the state are going to do. And I think a follow-up certainly would be helpful.
Absolutely, and I believe that Sean Hyman and COSA are watching that very closely. I know Dr. Dunlop and I discussed today Enid winning, and not of that nature of a board, but definitely a formula issue within the state of Oklahoma, and winning that case, which could possibly open some doors for future legislation.
You know, Ms. Tiger, when you say 3%, it doesn't sound like very much. You know, I think that's the play on numbers that they do in Oklahoma City to do that. But, you know, I would like to see the OSSBA. I want to see students impacted from services that are impacted, to talk about true lives that are going to be affected by these services not going to be able to be offered. You know, and also with having federal guidelines that we have to do through our special ed programs, so any of these things affect that to where, you know, it essentially becomes an unfunded mandate again because we don't receive the resources that we would have got before. Now somewhere within our own budgets, we got to find those resources to meet federal guidelines so we don't get any trouble with the federal government within that. So,
and I'm sure Ms. Enid is very nervous about those situations within our own budget once we actually do receive our appropriations.
One of the reasons why we're in this mess anyway is because of 640, and the fact that we need a super majority. If we could get that reversed, trying to get 76 votes for anything is nearly impossible. And we'll continue to be stuck in this stalemate until we get that repealed. And that's just the plain truth.
Right.
I do have concerns, and I know you do too, about our staff and the continuance of not receiving any increase in pay, which they're so deserving of. And I know that we're very much aware of that, and I know our state leaders are very much aware of that. It's just when we go to a situation where we have a vote on the floor, whether 100% agree with it or not, will it move our state forward? That's the question. But I certainly have continued concerns about cost of living increases and our staff members not receiving adequate compensation.
Absolutely. We're hoping that we'll see some different language arise this week.
We hear it in government a lot, the saying that elections have consequences. You know, this should open up our staff, the entire profession of education within the state of Oklahoma when these people come up for re-election.
I would agree.
Because there are people that support education and are running for some of these offices.
Right.
And change might be the only way we get there. We've got to be active. I would challenge all of our teachers to get out and be active. No matter who you choose, just go out and be active. So,
Thank you.
Debbie Downer tonight, Mr. Tiger. Next item, Ms. Cook, good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Just wanted to update you guys on a couple of things that we've done at BAEA. We've done our annual fall survey of our members and shared some of that information with the district leaders. We've also held 2 trainings, one on the TLE and the new PL focus, and another one on how to deal with aggressive students, which was really well attended. On a positive note, we have 2 activities that are coming up. The first one is our BAEA CARES grants. We're getting ready to fund 4 more teachers, $250 each. Those are due on the 15th, and we'll announce those before we leave for winter break. And then several years ago, we started the Deanna Rosser Coatney Scholarship to honor Deanna Rosser Coatney, who was tragically killed several years ago. And we are going to be doing, we fund $750 to a deserving high school senior to go towards the cost of tuition and books. And we're going to be doing a fundraiser for that soon by selling We Are BA t-shirts. So that's it.
All right, thank you. Next item was to be presented by the Professional Oklahoma Educators Report, but they are unable to make it because of illness tonight. So next item will be the consent agenda. Any conversation, discussion? Consent?
Move approval of items 14 through 65, general consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, 66. Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, this item is to approve the expenditure for our call to the election of the board seat, zone number 3. The total cost of the district is $40,000 and will be paid with our board funds.
Discussion.
Okay. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, 67. Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, this item is for this school board to approve or disapprove the endorsement of the 2018 One Voice agenda. The One Voice organization is our regional legislative agenda. It's put together through all of the regional chambers of commerce, city leaders, educational leaders. It's quite a process that brings all of these groups together to vet through what are the biggest issues that we believe we are passionate about for the upcoming legislative session. Last year, of course, I'm just going to focus on the ones around education. Last year, the 3 education focus points were to oppose vouchers, which we were successful in eliminating all of the bills that surrounded vouchers last year, to restore educational funding. Clearly, we were not successful with that. And to address the teacher shortage, again, not successful. So this year, on the legislative agenda for 2018, it remains to address the teacher shortage. We understand that it just continues to get worse and worse. Again, commend all the teachers that stay in Oklahoma, because clearly they're here because they're passionate about what they do and they love our students. But the reality is you have to pay for your family. And the second one is, again, to fund public education for the 21st century. And if you want information on these, you can go to the One Voice website, and these are very vetted out. And then the third one is local funding of education. This is one that popped up new this year. And what it supports is the ability for local municipalities or local communities to be able to supplement state funding, so raise money locally, and do this without it being a chargeable against our funding that comes from the state. This is huge. It's very important that if our state legislature is not going to find a way to fund us properly, we need the ability to be able to do it in our communities, because our students deserve it and our teachers deserve it. So those are the three main items on the One Voice legislative agenda for 2018.
Dr. Dunlop, with the local funding source, and I know it's not a chargeable, but, and Natalie, you spoke to this in the past, but where we've went from state funding percentage-wise to being locally funded now, they're almost getting ready to flip, I think. Even not being a chargeable, but if the money's still not there in the budget, how does that, I mean, could it impact us? Or, I mean, I would hate for them to say, okay, you guys passed it, and it ends up hurting us somehow within, they don't seriously don't have the money anymore to, but it's still not a chargeable, but yet it's allocated or whatever they're using it for.
So part of the language in this agenda states the state aid formula must ensure a regionally competitive base funding level for all schools, with additional increases in state funding directed through that formula. So they included it in that language.
That's good.
That it has to be, we have to reach a minimum here that is acceptable, and then anything we raise locally has to be in addition.
In addition
so
to money.
in title funding, it's called supplement, not supplant. So
good.
Yeah.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, Human Resources, Ms. Tiger.
Good evening. This semester, all of our policy councils for each section that is led by a different leadership member have been completed. They have all been submitted to you just for first reads for this month. You've received redlined version. I do want to draw your attention to the fact that a lot of our operational services policies that are led by Ms. Bergwell were in all different sections. We have moved all of those into section 6 and retitled that to include operational services, to have those in one location, and will be available for questions all month with anything.
Ms. Tiger, I think that's great. I think it will read much better. It'll be easier for people to find. Appreciate all the work that you all are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And we will bring that to you in December as an action item.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Next item, 69, Mr. Tolomeo.
Good evening. I'm here to ask for you guys to accept the bids for a Steinway piano for the Performing Arts Center. It is part of the 2009 bond issue project. We're including it in that project code. And it's to replace the piano we have here, which is vastly inferior, and we actually have to rent a piano for some of our bigger events.
Move approval.
I just have one quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
I know somebody may look at this and question us a little bit on this, but have we taken some action with the PAC members or things like that to kind of analyze, is this really a need versus a want, or, you know, so can you talk to that?
Yes, we go through programming with them and create a list of things that need to happen and things that we would love to happen. This was on that we would love to happen. It's a state-of-the-art facility and it needs state-of-the-art things. It'd be no different than a sound system for this facility.
Mr. Tolomeo, what are we doing with the current piano that's here?
We will move it to Kirkland.
Okay, because we're getting ready to reopen the north facility,
Yes.
and it does not have a piano there.
Correct.
And I think some other questions that maybe caused me to think about this was, you know, can we use that money elsewhere or not?
We actually cannot. Part of the bond issue is we have to spend at least 85% of the money here at the Performing Arts Center. So we're still trying to reach that 85% as we advertised and is part of our bond.
Thank you. Okay. Sheriff, you want to go ahead?
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes, thank you. Next item, number 70, Ms. Coates.
Good evening, President Allen and Dr. Dunlop and members of the board. I bring to you tonight a discussion, motion, and vote on motion to approve or disapprove the contract submitted for the Southern Regional Education Board SREB Math and Literacy Design Collaborative Professional Development Contract for secondary teachers and leaders in the amount of $53,208.10. We will be using Title IIA funds for this professional development. Title IIA funds are specifically designed to be used for professional development for leadership and for teachers that teach the core classes, core subjects.
Okay. Questions or discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Next item, 71, Ms. Coates.
All right, thank you. A discussion, motion, and vote on motion to approve or disapprove the new agreement between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Turnitin Feedback Studio Originality Checking and Feedback Software Program. This is the first year of a 3-year agreement, and the total cost to the district is $22,215 and will be paid using instructional bond funds. Turnitin software is a plagiarism check software, and in the past we've used a product called Grammarly. Our English teachers were not satisfied with the Grammarly product. They've researched and found one that they like and have landed on Turnitin. It's for those, our teachers have our students write a lot of essays, and so our students can submit their essays through this software plagiarism checker, and it checks for to make sure that students are citing their sources correctly and using correct grammar. So it's kind of that first run through. It helps teachers save time as far as grading papers, but it's also very informative for students as well.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Thank you. Next item, Ms. Enoff.
Good evening again. I appreciate Ms. Tiger being the bearer of bad news tonight. Normally that's my job. Thank you. Looking at October revenue, you can see we're already down a little bit in state aid collections. The obvious midpoint check in this is when the State Board of Equalization meets in December to assess statewide revenue, and then we are to get our midterm allocation in January from the State Department of Education based on this, our October 1 count, and basically receive any funds for which we have grown. So the million-dollar question will be how the funding factors are changed based on how that revenue comes in and how we're funded from that. Currently we're at $3,042 per weighted ADM, and we've heard everything from the factors are not going to change to factors are going to go back down to where we ended in 2016-17. So we're just continuing to monitor our expenditures accordingly and hopefully at least come out to where we began at the beginning of this year. Our ad valorem, as you know, is collected at the beginning of January when tax collections are due, and again in March. That's a huge source of revenue for us into general and building fund. I can't drive home this point enough how important it is to have a decent carryover going into the beginning of the fiscal year, because our ad valorem does provide so much of a cushion for us, and if we don't have that carryover, we can't make payroll. And it's really our savings account for how we operate and budget and project into the new year. So that operating budget's not just money we have hidden in the bank. It's what we rely on to continue services. Building fund, again, very heavily driven by ad valorem We've collected more in local sources this year. Our PSO rebate money that we receive for all the lighting retrofit goes into this fund. And so we were very thankful to our operations staff for making sure that we receive these rebates, and it helps obviously generate money into building fund. Child nutrition, again, they're pretty well self-sufficient. They do well in local and federal collection sources, and then we receive the state claim for them in January. General fund expenditures, we're pretty much on par with where we were last year, looking at travel, supplies and materials, all of that. Considering the number of students that we have grown, we have stayed very conservative in our expenses. I was talking to Dr. Dunlop this afternoon about really how small our operational budget is when you take out the salary and benefit costs, which is about 80% of our general fund budget. So you look at that, and we're operating on a less than 20% budget. For a district of our size that serves over 19,000 students, over 2,000 employees, that's pretty darn efficient. Building fund, again, goes to our operation and maintenance. A lot of our utilities are cutted out of this fund, and as we grow square footage, as we open new sites, this contributes to a larger footprint for our operating expenditures. And child nutrition, they're a little bit ahead for some of their supplies and materials, but this is just very dependent on timing and when Ms. Goodacre chooses to purchase commodities ahead of schedule. So our ending fund balance for 2016-17 again is based on the cash number that was presented in the estimate of needs. Our official audit and CAFR will be presented to the Board of Education in December, and so that figure will be updated with what has been approved by our financial audit. So that will change a little bit, but as I mentioned earlier, we were just kind of preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, and hoping that whatever they mean by education being held harmless is truly that. Questions?
Well, I was noticing your projection on the fund balance right now at this point, and obviously it's a challenge with any school district, but certainly with ours as well. It's just fortunate that we have such a supportive community, and we have been able to pass the bond initiatives, which has allowed us on deregulation to do a number of things that we wouldn't have been able to do before. So again, I appreciate all of the work and all the conversation that it takes to plan and to do what we are doing to stay ahead of the issues that we face.
The instability of the budget makes it impossible to plan, staff, forecast. I mean, it just
It's
changes.
a nightmare.
It changes daily, and it creates a lot of undue anxiety among our staff. I will say that the community, without the bond issue, our district would not be in the position it is. And any plan to use one-time revenue as a source to fix the budget hole will not work. That is the same reason why we are very cautious about using our ending fund balance for reoccurring expenses, because eventually those sources are depleted and never able to be built back up. So like I said, our fund balance is our savings account. You don't pay your electric bill with your savings account, and
we just have not been able to rely on any kind of forecasting that would be beneficial to schools right now at this point. And that is a challenge, and I know it's a challenge for every staff member. Just appreciate the dedication, the continued resolve to try to do what we need to do.
We can do better, and our students and staff deserve better. So,
Ms. Enoff, you mentioned a minute ago about the inefficiencies and how efficient we are, and we hear a lot of rhetoric out there right now of, oh, well, if public schools would just eliminate some of the inefficiencies in our costs, that we wouldn't have this budget issue. So, you know, I've been in public education. I haven't been in private business or in industry. What would a standard percentage of operating costs be for something that wasn't public education? Does it compare?
30+%.
30%. And what was it we're spending?
Less than 20, I'd say.
Thank you.
Not to mention, you know, one of the things that we're constantly criticized on is our administrative costs. When you look at the size of district that we run, the number of programs that are being run, the number of administrators to staff we have is extremely low. You know, the simple fact is you need leadership, and you need good leadership to run efficient programs.
You know, Messina, right when I got on the board, we had previous audit items that the district was audited for, and one of them was a audit of our operations. And it said during that audit at that time back then, when it needed to add more staff and leadership because of the amount of offerings that we do have, but we're not allowed, we can't do that now. But it's funny that a state entity audits you and says you need to add more staff for your programs that you offer, but yet the same people down there in the same address are telling you that you're spending too much money. So it doesn't make sense.
Of course, we're driven by instruction, and that's what we do to support our kids and our teachers. But the behind-the-scenes work of what our support staff do on a daily basis is incredible. A lot of everyone is being asked to do more with less, and our support staff certainly does a lot to contribute and support our mission for 100% literacy, engagement, and graduation.
Thank you. Okay, next item, new business. We have none. Item 74 will be to move to executive session regarding the superintendent contract.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Majors?
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly? Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes. Okay. One thing, we're going into executive session for the contract of the superintendent. It's a policy issue that we're trying to address, so we have consistency with her contract and employees' contracts. That's it. It's nothing big. It's just a small technicality we got to clear up, so everything's the same. So no one panic.